Hello BookTube, hello friends, welcome to Lizzie Faye Loves Books. I'm Elizabeth, and this video is going to be kind of a mid-month update. Last week I introduced my crazy summer reading plan, and I told you how I was planning to start a book every day for the first 20-something days of the month, at least until I got all the print books started that I wanted to start for the month of June. Now, I don't think I'm going to get all of them finished, and I have missed a couple of days here and there starting new books, but I am in the middle of 12 books right now. Only one of them is audio. I finished an audiobook yesterday in my car, so tomorrow probably I'll start a new audiobook in my car. We have been out and about today, but the whole family was in the car, so I didn't start a new audiobook. Anyway, it's going pretty well so far, and I'm excited. So I have finished 6 books for the month of June so far. 4 of them have been audio, and 2 of them have been print books. And one of those print books was one that I started previous to the 1st of June, but I did not read very much of it in May, only like maybe 3 or 4 chapters. So anyway, let me share with you what I finished and what I'm currently reading, and if I have time and this video is not incredibly long, I'll share with you the next few books that I think I will start. But before I get too deep into this stack, let me remind you that today, June 16th, is the first day of my House at Riverton read-along. The House at Riverton is by Kate Morton. It was her debut novel, and I am doing this as a read-along, and it also counts as a point towards the Summer Romance Book Bingo. So to participate in the read-along, you need to go on my Goodreads group, which is Lizzie Faye's Comfy Corner. Let me know if you're joining in, and then by the end of this week, then you will need to have read a certain section, and the schedule is listed there, and then come back and comment when you get done with section 1. Then when you finish the book, you need to go to Sarah's Goodreads group, which is the Create Your Own Readathon group, and go to the Summer Romance Book Bingo folder, and under points tally, you need to let her know that you read this book as a part of my read-along, because I am one of the co-hosts for the Summer Romance Book Bingo. Now, I would love to have as many participants as possible. You do not have to be participating in the Summer Romance Book Bingo to do this read-along. I would love to have as many people as possible participate in this read-along, whether or not you're doing the bingo. So let me know in the comments below. If you haven't already made a comment on the Goodreads group, let me know if you are planning to participate. So I'm going to start reading it today, and I'm going to take what I scheduled for the first week and divide that out so that I am reading some each day. I think I scheduled only the first 4 or 5 chapters for the first week, and we're reading it over a 6-week period so that we'll be done by the end of July. So let me know if you're going to participate. So real quick, the books that I finished earlier in the month, the first 2 audiobooks were from the Cobbled Court series by Marie Bostwick. I listened to Threading the Needle, Book 4, and Ties That Bind, Book 5. And those have kind of a quilt theme, but it's really just a great series about friendships, mostly women's friendships. They are a little bit inspirational, especially Book 5. One of the main characters in Book 5 is a female pastor, so by default, that book is a little more inspirational and has a little more of a Christian theme than some of the others in the series. I haven't really ever considered this series to be a Christian series, although it is very clean, and I believe the author is a Christian, but it's really just a nice, wonderful, feel-good series, and I would definitely recommend it. The other 2 audiobooks that I finished were for my library book clubs. The first one I finished was for my mystery book club for next month, and it's called Plaid and Plagiarism by MacRae. I talked a little bit about it last week. It's just a fun, cozy mystery. It's set in Scotland. The owners are American, and they have moved to Scotland to open this bookshop, and they're going to be opening a tea room alongside, and I thought it was a really good mystery. There is a second book in the series that's out now. It's called Scones and something, so I may go ahead and listen to that. Both of those books are on audio on Hoopla. I've really enjoyed everything I've read by MacRae so far. She also writes the Haunted Yarn Shop mysteries, and you guys might remember that I talked about it recently because the Haunted Yarn Shop mysteries has a ghost, and the ghost is hilarious. So I am really enjoying everything I have read by Molly MacRae, and if either of those series sound good to you, then I would recommend giving them a try. And then just yesterday, for my literary book club coming up next week, I finished Eleanor Oliphant is Completely Fine by Gail Honeyman. This was very interesting. I enjoyed this. Even though there is some foul language, it fits the situation for the most part, at least from one of the characters. But there were a few twists at the end that I didn't see coming, but it's really just an interesting story. It's got some funny moments, it's got some very sad moments, there's some tragedies, and there's hope. And as a reader, we get to see Eleanor Oliphant as she takes this journey really of self-discovery and personal growth. And it's just a very good story, I think, and I would recommend it. Then the book that I finished that I had started previous to June 1st is Becoming Us by Robin Jones Gunn. I really loved this. There wasn't anything earth-shattering about it, but it was just very, very good. Women's friendships. It really makes me wish I had a very close circle of women friends like this. It's just a really sweet story about a family and a friend group. Since this book was sent to me from Multnomah for review, I will do a separate video about it and tell you a little bit more. But for now, just know that I thought it was really well done, and I definitely want to read more by this author. And then I got a little off track with what I had already planned to read by rereading a book that I listened to on audio last month. This is The Fork, the Witch, and the Worm by Christopher Paolini. This is book 1 in the Tales from Allegasia. This picks up where Inheritance left off. Inheritance is book 4 in the Inheritance cycle. And I listened to this on audio right at the end of May. I listened to it kind of quickly, and I picked up what was happening in each of the stories, but I missed how they segued together, and I missed how they all connected. So I had ordered this when I was listening to it, and it didn't come in until after I was already done. So I went ahead and checked it out and picked it up, and so when I sat down with this, I had in mind just to kind of skim through it and pick up the parts that I missed, but it turned out to be such a quick read. I read probably 60% of it in one sitting that I just decided to go ahead and continue reading it on through. The last third of it took a little longer than I thought. The story was a little bit slower paced, but still I'm glad that I sat down and read it, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. So for fans of Aragon and the Inheritance cycle, if you have not picked this up, I would recommend doing it. It was really a fun set of stories. Okay, so let's move on to what I'm currently reading. I currently have 11 print books that I have started, so I have not started one for every day of the month. Of course, I mentioned before that I started the month with 2 that I already had underway, and then I've started and finished this one. So that leaves 11 books in print, and they range anywhere from having 3 chapters left to read to only having read 1 chapter. So let's go through them quickly, and I'll tell you what I'm currently reading. So this is the only cozy mystery that I am reading right now. I have about a fourth of it left. This is Murder Past Due by Miranda James. It's the first book in the Cat in the Stacks mysteries, and I'm hoping to read this whole series this summer because Berkeley sent me the most recent book, which is book 11, and I want to read all the way through. Most of them I can get on audio, but these first 3 I need to read in print. So I am enjoying it so far. It's about a librarian and his cat, and in this first book, the person who is murdered is an author who is from the same hometown, and he's not very well liked. And so, of course, there are any number of people who are suspects. The one that I will likely finish today is Monkey Wrench by Nancy Martin. This is book 4 in the Welcome to Tyler series. I'm buddy reading this with Mandy Garrett, who is also a booktuber, and I will link her channel down below. We are enjoying this. I am personally not enjoying this one quite as much as the previous books. Hopefully it will get better. The series is written by multiple authors, so you never really know what you're getting when you start one, but each of the stories take place in the fictional town of Tyler, Wisconsin, and there is an underlying mystery that is woven throughout all of the stories, and there is a slight quilt theme, hence the covers. Each of the covers of the books have a quilt on the cover. Now, both of those last books are contemporary, so let me go ahead and tell you about the other books that are contemporary that I'm currently reading. I am reading Jodi Thomas's newest book, The Little Teashop on Main. This is about three friends who have been friends since they were children, and now they have finished high school and they are going their separate ways to follow their dreams. And that's about as far as I've gotten so far. I am not far into this at all, but I have loved almost all of the books I have read by Jodi Thomas, so I'm really looking forward to getting into this one. Another contemporary book that I'm reading right now is Book Club Babies by Ashton Lee. This is the last book in the Cherry Cola Book Club series. It's book 6, and I will be so glad to check this series off my list. This one so far is okay. It's not my favorite, but it's not the worst. So I just have less than half left, and I'm excited about getting done with this. Now going on to historical. This is a book for my bingo card that will meet the prompt to read a book that was written before I was born. This was written in 1946. This is Bright Arrows by Grace Livingston Hill. And Grace Livingston Hill was a Christian author. She was a very prolific author. I have collected most of her books. I read a lot of them when I was in my 20s, but I cannot remember which ones I've read and which ones I haven't. So since I've collected most of the books by her in paperback, and the paperbacks are numbered, I decided to systematically start from the beginning and read through them. So this is number 2. And so far it's really good. And another Christian fiction book that I'm reading is City Girl by Lori Wick. This was set in the 1800s after the Civil War. It's about a young woman who leaves New York to take a job as a nanny out west, but when she gets there she discovers that the man who hired her has gotten married, so he doesn't need her services, and she gets a job in a hotel as a cook or a baker, and that's about as far as I've gotten so far. But this is the third in a trilogy by Lori Wick. It's the Yellow Rose trilogy, and I have enjoyed the other 2, and I'm again looking forward to checking another series off my list. And on the bingo, this will meet one of the prompts to read a cowboy romance. Now, there are 2 different prompts to read a romance featuring a cowboy, and I happen to get both of those on my bingo card. So I'm also going to read a mail-order bride story from this bind-up of The Brides of the West by Lori Copeland. This particular bind-up has the first 3 books in the series. The books are Faith, June, and Hope, and I am reading the 3rd one called Hope. I read Faith and June in previous years. There are 6 in this series, so I'm hoping to go ahead and read the next one in the series as well. I've got another bind up of the next 3 up on my shelf. You probably can't see it from here, but I'll get it down whenever I get closer to reading it. And then another historical type book is the story of the young life of Lucy Maud Montgomery. This is told by Melanie J. Fishbane, and I believe it's a fictionalized account, and so far I'm enjoying it. I'm just a little ways into it, and I think it's going to be very good. I love everything that has been written by Lucy Maud Montgomery, and I'm really looking forward to reading about her young life. And then a few middle grade books that I'm reading. I started When Life Gives You OJ by Erica S. Pearl for the Buzzwordathon, because the buzzword this week is you. And this is When Life Gives You OJ. This is a story about a girl who wants a dog. So her grandfather goes on a campaign to help her convince her parents that she should have a dog by making a pretend or practice dog out of an orange juice jug. So I'm only a chapter in, and I think it's going to be really cute. And then one I've been working on since the beginning of the month. This is Breakout by Kate Messner. This is one of the Sunshine State books, and I'm reading maybe only 10 to 15 pages a day in this. I talked about it earlier, so I'll tell you more about it when I finish it. And then the other book that I am currently reading that I will not be finishing for sure until the first week of July is The Purpose-Driven Life by Rick Warren. My husband and I are both reading that for our Sunday school class, and we're just reading a section a day. It's written sort of like a devotional, and you're supposed to read it over the course of 40 days. So I am just past the halfway point in that book. Okay, so that's everything that I am currently reading in print. The only audiobook that I currently have going right now is The Adventurers Guild by Zach Lauren Clark and Nick Eliopoulos. I hope I'm saying that right. This is also one of our Sunshine State books. It is a fantasy book. I'm about half done with it at this point, and it starts out kind of like The Giver or Divergent, where the kids, when they get to be a certain age, are assigned their lot in life. Basically, they're assigned to a guild, and that's where they're going to be serving their community. So the guild that our main characters get picked to be in is the Adventurers Guild, and in this community, that group is sort of the outcast group, because they are the ones who go outside the wall, and they are the ones that protect the city, and they have to be pretty rough and tough. So it's a very interesting story so far. It's pretty exciting, and I'm enjoying it. Okay, so quickly before my camera runs out of battery, I want to run through what I think I will be starting in the next 7 to 10 days. While I'm on the subject of Sunshine State books and middle grade books, the next Sunshine State books that I plan to read, one is on audio. I have Small Spaces by Catherine Arden. And then in print, I plan to read Slider by Pete Hauptman and Ethan Marcus Stands Up by Michelle Weber Hurwitz. I've also got a few book club books to read. For my main book club at the public library, I'm going to be listening to Lilac Girls on CD, and this is by Martha Hall Kelly. And then they're having a special book club series for the summer that goes along with the Universe of Stories library theme for the summer. So we're going to be reading some science fiction books, and the first one we're going to be reading is Kindred by Octavia Butler. I think I'm going to use one of my Audible credits and buy this. It sounds really interesting. It is a time travel story about a young African American woman who is propelled back in time to the slavery period where she has to save one of her ancestors, and it sounds really intriguing. And also on Audible, I'm going to be purchasing Where the Crawdads Sing, and that is for my newest book club that meets outside the library. I'm supposed to have that read by this weekend, I think next Friday. So I'm going to be purchasing that and listening to that this week as well. And then a few other books for the Summer Romance Book Bingo. On Hoopla, I have the audio checked out for Open House by Elizabeth Berg. This was an old Oprah book club selection. I have several books by Elizabeth Berg, and I've only listened to one of them so far on audio. This is the only other one that is on Hoopla audio, and after that I'm going to have to start reading my print copies, but I'm looking forward to this. I started collecting her books for the covers. I just really think the covers are wonderful. So I'm looking forward to this. I hope that the book is going to be as good as the cover. And I decided to go ahead and use this for the prompt to read a book where the author shares one of your names. I had another one that I was thinking about doing, but I just think I'm going to go ahead and go with this one. And then for the bingo prompt to read a book featuring a musician, I'm going to go with a Sarah Dessen book called This Lullaby, and I have this on CD from the library. And then for my print books, the next few that I plan to start, of course today I'm starting The House at Riverton by Kate Morton. And then within the next few days, I plan to start News from Thrush Green by Miss Reed. This is book 3 in the Thrush Green series. And then Ever Faithful by Karen Barnett. This is book 3 in the Vintage National Park series. I was sent this from Waterbrook, Multnomah for review, and I'm really looking forward to reading it. I listened to the first 2 on audio and I love them, and I think I'm going to love this one just as much. So I guess that's about all I have to share with you today. I have lots of other videos that I really want to make, but I'm having a pretty busy summer and a lot of stuff going on. So that's about all I can do for today. But I hope that you will stick around and stay tuned. I hope to have some other more interesting videos coming soon. I have filmed my May wrap-up. I just haven't even started editing it. So that's all for now. I hope you're having a great day. Read a good book, and God bless you.